Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the visiting U.S. Secretary of State Lloyd Austin on Wednesday probed bilateral ties, in addition to a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. Later, the Defense Minister Mohammad Zaki met with the U.S. Defense Minister, during which they reviewed the military ties. Here's the story. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held talks with visiting U.S. Secretary of State Lloyd Austin and his accompanying delegation on Wednesday. The meeting, which was attended by the Minister of Defense and Military Production Mohammad Zaki, focused on bilateral ties in addition to a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern. Presidential spokesman Ahmed Fahmy said President al-Sisi expressed Egypt's keenness to enhance strategic partnership with the U.S. President al-Sisi further confirmed ongoing efforts to intensify the current cooperation and coordination between the two countries in various fields, notably the military and security cooperation with the aim of regaining security and stability and retaining peace in the Middle East region. For his part, the U.S. Secretary of State said Washington hailed Egypt's leadership and crucial role as a cornerstone for stability in the region. He affirmed the U.S. keenness to push forward the framework of cooperation and strategic partnership between the two nations, especially in the defense field. On the Palestinian cause, the President al-Sisi stressed the significance of unifying international efforts to calm the escalations in the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. He reiterated that a two-state solution, according to international legitimate references, is the best way to achieve a just and comprehensive peace that fulfills the aspirations of the people in the Middle East. The meeting also centered on ongoing efforts to enhance peace and stability at an international level amid successive world crises which negatively overshadowed various countries around the globe. Later, Minister Zaki met with the U.S. Defense Minister, during which they probed military ties. Also on Wednesday, President al-Sisi directed to benefit from Egypt's strategic location as a meeting point for international naval transportation lines. This came during the President's meeting with the head of the Naval Forces, Admiral Ashraf Atwa, and the Presidential Advisor for Urban Planning, General Amir Saeed Ahmed. President al-Sisi stressed on the significance of intensifying efforts by the state and private sector to increase the economic added value with the framework of building a national capacity in various domains. During the meeting, the head of state probed a number of ongoing projects to upgrade and establish a number of ports in accordance with the latest modern engineering and environmental techniques within the framework of a national project to develop seaports around the state. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli announced on Wednesday the cost of the social protection package, increasing salaries and pensions for the state, would be £150 billion. During a press conference, Madbouli said the social protection package launched by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi last week in Al-Minya and all the laws through which this very large package will be activated to accelerate the increase of salaries and bonuses start from next April and were being discussed. The increase of salaries will be £1,000 for all civil servants, in addition to raising the minimum wage. Civil servants' job positions are assigned numbers depending on their qualifications and a number of years of employment, starting with a ranking of 6 all the way to 1. Civil servants ranked 6 will receive a minimum wage of £3,500, and those ranked 3rd will receive £5,000. Holders of a master's and doctoral degrees will receive £6,000 and £7,000 respectively. This is in addition to an increase in pensions by 15% starting on the 1st of April. The Prime Minister also announced an increase in the financial value of Takaful and Panorama fund by 25%. The Arab League concluded its 159th Arab Foreign Ministers Summit at the Arab League General Secretariat headquarters in Cairo on Wednesday. At a press conference at the end of the summit, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said the meeting witnessed consensus on overall Arab issues. Shoukry added that a number of decisions were issued on Iran, Turkey and the Palestinian cause. Foreign Minister Shoukry noted also efforts are underway to defend the Palestinian rights and preserve the land. The diplomat clarified that Syrian issue reviewed, but no no clear roadmap has existed within the Arab League to deal with the issue. Shukri asserted that Egypt supports inter-Arab action to realize the Arab aspiration and visions, affirming that Cairo enhances means to counter terrorism in the Arab world. He said Cairo aimed to safeguard the Arab security and stability, adding that Egypt is keen to probe various issues with Arab countries. On Ethiopia's dam, Shukri reiterated that a unified Arab vision is badly needed to deal with the file, and said a decision was issued regarding it. He added that the ministers had also discussed various issues in the Middle East, including the situation in Yemen, Syria and Libya, means of counter-terrorism and Arab-African relations, in addition to Iran's interference in Arab domestic affairs. Shukri said efforts were underway to preserve Palestinian lands and rights. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri stressed that Egypt would continue providing support to the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, or UNRWA, for Palestinian refugees, citing the crucial important role needed to offer the basic and urgent services for Palestinian refugees. During his meeting with the Commission General of the UNRWA, Filipe Lazarni, Shukri said Egypt would continue mobilizing support from donor countries to provide financial support needed for the agency, in line with Egypt's efforts to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. The top diplomat expressed high appreciation for the agency's ongoing support in light of the successive global challenges, namely the coronavirus pandemic and the Ukrainian crisis. On her official Facebook account, the First Lady, Sara Sisi, on Wednesday extended her greetings and appreciation to every woman in Egypt to mark the occasion of International Women's Day. On this occasion, the First Lady affirmed that the state continues its relentless efforts to empower women at all levels, believing that women are an essential partner in building the new republic. Meanwhile, Ministry of Interior organized a number of activities that included visits to hospitals. The ministry also distributed presents to women and celebrated with them at police clubs around the nation. Still on International Women's Day, women are taking to the streets from Kabul to Bangkok on Wednesday to mark the day and defend women's rights that are coming under increasing attacks. Here's a story. Rallies marking International Women's Day took place around the world on Wednesday. Capitals across the world were hosting marches, rallies and demonstrations, including Madrid, where broad tree-lined boulevards are regularly packed with a sea of purple, a color often associated with women's rights. Demonstrations were held in Paris, Berlin, Beirut, Jakarta, Singapore and elsewhere. Rallies were planned in other cities. In Manila, activists calling for equal rights and better wages scuffled with police blocking their protest. And in Melbourne, demonstrators demanded equal pay and better safety for women. Protests included calls for solidarity with women in Iran and Afghanistan, where their freedoms have faced especially hard blows in the past year. Protesters in several Spanish cities, including Madrid and Barcelona, were due to hold competing rallies for International Women's Days. In Colombo, there were scuffles as riot police tried to stop protesters at a Women's Day rally organized by the opposition. Hundreds of people had gathered to call on the Sri Lankan government to protect women's rights and protest against high living costs. In London, the Madame Tussauds Museum marked the day by unveiling a new waxwork of suffragette leader Emmeline Pankhurst, who began an intense struggle 120 years ago that won women's rights to vote. And Italy's first woman Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, focused on the role of women in the economy, saying state-controlled companies should have at least one female leader. Meanwhile, in Japan, Chief Cabinet Secretary Harukozo Matsuno said progress had been made in improving women's working conditions, but more had to be done. In Russia, the head of the upper house of parliament used the occasion to launch a vehement attack on sexual minorities and liberal values promoted by the West. Minister of Interior Mahmoud Tawfiq sent a congratulatory cable to the Minister of Defense and General Commander of the Armed Forces, General Mohammad Zeki, to mark the occasion of Martyrs' Day. The Minister of Interior praised the sacrifices of the armed forces for the sake of the nation, stressing that the armed forces is the shield of the nation. Minister of Interior also sent a similar cable to the Armed Forces Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Osama Askar. The Ministry of Health said on Wednesday that the death toll in a train crash that took place in the Greater Cairo Qalyub had risen to 4, with 23 injured. The Railways Authority issued a statement saying that the injured passengers were riding between rail cars in the train, which was traveling from Shubra to Gharbiya. The accident took place as the train exceeded the semaphore and crashed into the buffer stops, causing it to derail. Minister of Transportation Kamil El-Wazir ordered the formation of an investigation committee to evaluate the damage and find those responsible for the crash. The state prosecution opened an investigation into the crash. Egypt asserted its condemnation of Israeli occupation forces' raid in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin, killing 6 Palestinians and wounding more than 11. In a foreign ministry statement, Egypt asserted its total rejection of the Israeli raid and its policy of repeated incursions, which led to the destruction of property and the demolition of homes. This destruction threatens the stability of the region. Egypt has called on all international community to assume responsibility and put an end to the ongoing unilateral escalatory measures and appealed for a peaceful settlement. NATO